Hello guys, back again with Movel on the Movelanime channel, and welcome to the Manhwa plot, Genius Archer Streamer. We will continue the story that was uploaded in the past, about the archer god who made his debut in the world of streaming games. How did Sang-yeon face the adventure and social impact of streaming games online? And for the sake of shortening time better, let's get into the story. Because they are curious about the newbie streamer, the Kingdom Age community, which has not many enthusiasts, but even so the enthusiasts who inhabit it are veteran players. But this time, the posts in the community suddenly changed, where there was a post that changed everything. It was because there was a player who was praised by Roman who was known to always speak harshly. From that incident, of course, many players thought it was fake, but no matter what, the author of the post said that the player praised by Roman was a newbie player, and the broadcast name itself was created automatically. We're from the commotion on the community web. Sang-yeon was very surprised, because he did not think it would be this trending. But one of the surprises for Sang-yeon was a comment that said the boss fight challenge using a bow and arrow failed to be carried out by a player named Electron, where Electron himself was a top ranking among veteran streamers, and from that made people curious again. Because how could a newbie defeat a boss who even failed to be done by a veteran? Reading all the comments, Sang-yeon was very surprised, because he had only been streaming for a day, but he had been compared to one of the veteran streamers, and because of that too, even though he didn't believe all the words in his heart, he was very happy. Especially, he felt happy to be surrounded by people talking about him. Sang-yeon, who felt happy, was suddenly interrupted by a phone call from Joo-hyuk. With that, he immediately picked up the phone, and Joo-hyuk asked how he was doing, also about the results of his streamer last night. But when he heard that Sang-yeon got 20 viewers, he was really surprised, because how could he get that many viewers on his first day? And Sang-yeon explained if he was lucky enough to have chosen a good game. But a few moments later, Sang-yeon said to Yoo-hyuk if he would turn off his phone, because he would be preparing to stream during the day, especially now. There was no time of day or night for him, because now streaming was his job. Hearing the words of the Yun, Joo-hyuk certainly felt happy, because now his friend got his fun back, and with that, the conversation was finally ended. As for Yun, he started preparing his stream. As Yun prepared his stream, he began to enter the capsule, and even though he was about to start playing, he still felt his heart pounding, because that feeling made him feel like 10 years ago, where he became very excited, because of the attention and feedback from many people. With that, he also felt that he was indeed a gamer athlete, which was destined. A few moments later, the Hun immediately started his stream, where when he started the stream, it turned out that he was immediately filled with many comment fields, and seeing the number of comments, of course, made Sang-yeon surprised, because the comment chat moved faster than yesterday, and with that too, he was curious about how many were watching. But when he saw that his stream was watched by 189 people, he was very surprised because the number of viewers this time became many times that of last night. He didn't even expect the number of viewers from a small gaming community, and seeing that, he became a little nervous, because it was his first experience. But he then immediately calmed himself, because all he needed to do was imagine that this time was not the real world. But he soon calmed himself down, because what he needed to do was to imagine that this time was not the real world. It was a game and a third person, and because his anxiety had begun to disappear, Sang-yeon began to look into his game with confidence, because this time he would continue the story of the last game. The night before the Hun started to fall asleep, he first read many articles about how streamers manage their viewers, where one of the things he remembered was not to let the viewers think of him as just a streamer, because a good streamer is someone who can make his audience like watching his friend play games. With that, the Hun also began to count who watched his streamer. There was Zaki, there was Epri, there was Ikwal, there was Rizki, and because the Yun had counted who was present in his stream, he started his full dive journey, where when he opened his eyes, he was surprised because at the beginning of the game he was suddenly riding a horse. Looking around, he realized that he was with a mercenary army. And with that too, he thought, maybe he had a new mission. With that too, Sang Hyun began to check his mission, where it was escorting a traveling nobleman. But at that time he was a little interested in one of the commentators, where there said that the game being played was very realistic. Seeing these comments, Sang Yun realized if the game he was playing felt very realistic, especially he felt if he was currently riding a horse. But at that time he was surprised by someone who called him, because their Roman asked, was it the first time the Hun rode a horse? But because Sang Hyun replied that he didn't often ride horses, Roman added to adapt immediately, because in the future the Hun would definitely ride horses often. But seeing Roman's happy expression made his viewers wonder because they didn't believe that it was Roman they recognized. A while passed. As Sang Yun continued to escort, one of his viewers asked what mission he was receiving. Because what? From the beginning there was a mission like that, and from that message, one of them also said, if the mission carried out by Sang Hyun wasn't a mission that faced bandits on horseback, which made Sang Hyun wonder, because he didn't understand his mission. But from that too, suddenly Sang Hyun's group was surprised by the group that confronted them, because at the end of the road the bandits on horseback suddenly appeared, and with the arrival of the bandits, Roman immediately ordered his troops to begin the attack, where the battle between the two groups of horsemen began, and the mercenary soldiers were now suppressed by the bandit troops. Seeing the commotion, his viewers were of course very happy, because the battle was about to begin, while for Yun himself, he was also happy, because his viewers were interested in his stream. Even besides that, there were some people who doubted his ability and hoped that he would fail, but Sang Hyun read those comments and knew that it was a common reaction in the world of sports, and he had often received such responses, because of course to make them silent, it was only to prove it with real results, and of course the Hun immediately raised his bow, where he prepared to shoot it, and shot the arrow with all his might, because he was aiming for the enemy who was in the leading position. The Hun's arrow went straight through the head of the leading bandit, which surprised Roman and the mercenaries, because the bandit they were facing with all their might was now down. Especially, it also made the viewer surprised, because with just one arrow, the bandit boss died instantly. Seeing that the viewers were fussing about Captain Bandit, of course it made the Yun surprised, because he did not expect that the one he defeated was the enemy captain. Even from this, making the comment column filled with many questions, where the Yun thought, if the viewers seemed to enjoy the show, but even so the Yun returned to focusing on the game. Especially the battle was still not over, and all she needed to do was to finish the battle and come out as the winner, where she continued to shoot her arrows at the bandits, which made the remaining bandits become scared and decided to retreat from the battle. Seeing the incident, the viewers were of course very entertained, where one of them thought, if today's live was like an edited clip, but even so, the Yun did not stop his movement, because he could not allow the remaining bandits to escape. And with that, the Hun also shot his arrow again, and shot the fleeing bandit dead. While the bandit that Yun had eliminated was cleared, Roman shouted to his troops to immediately capture and kill the remaining bandits, as they were currently trying to escape, and with that order, the mission Yun had received was suddenly renewed, where the mission he had received this time was to pursue and eliminate the bandits on horseback. Which, even though Yun was surprised by that, of course he immediately acted quickly, because right now he needed to pursue his enemy and complete the mission. On the other hand, on the Kingdom Age Community Forum, the news board suddenly began to be filled with many new posts, especially the posts were filled with the name Almond, which was constantly mentioned by gamers. And someone who was quite curious about almonds, he began to pay attention to the post, because he was curious about who was the stupid streamer who played such an underrated game. But even so, he was quite enthusiastic about the streamer, because it turned out that there was someone like him who liked underrated games, where that person is a streamer named Acorn Jelly. And of course, because of his interest in the almond streamer, he began to watch the video recording of the post maker. But when he realized the strangeness of the game, he was so surprised that he jumped out of his chair, because all the bandits who were the player's enemies were killed with just one arrow right in the head. Even because of the recording results, he became very surprised, because supposedly an ordinary headshot would not be enough to kill the enemy directly, which he thought of one of the techniques hidden among veteran players, which Karna was perfected in the game Kingdom Ages. Enemies will die instantly if you hit their critical pro, but that only applies to enemies at a certain rank. In other words, if the enemy is a boss, even getting a critical hit will not kill him immediately. The rumor is like that, but in reality, the Kingdom Ages game has a hidden system, and the only skill that can exceed critical and has a higher accuracy than headshot. It is perfect shoot, but most users do not know the existence of perfect shoot. Even among the veterans there are different opinions about the existence of this, because the reason is that no one has ever succeeded in proving perfection, especially for Acorn Jelly. Even though he said so, people did not believe his opinion, where he was also still curious about the way of playing from Almond, because how can the streamer constantly kill his enemies with one arrow? As if every attack he sent turned into a perf. With all these impressions, he was curious about Almond, because maybe that person was a veteran streamer in the Kingdom game. But when he saw Almond's account, he became silent because it turned out that the streamer was a newbie. Back to the Yun, he followed the mercenaries to chase the bandits, where even though he had never ridden a horse before, he felt that this time it was very interesting, especially that it was also his first time shooting at a moving target. Even he felt that he could definitely do it. Immediately, the Hun immediately aimed at the fleeing bandit, where even though he felt his hands trembling slightly due to tremors, he could not give up because of that. And with that, the Yun also immediately shot his arrow, and the arrow immediately stuck into the bandit's neck. Seeing the accuracy of the Hun, the viewers were again amazed, because the Yun was like an archer from the Joseon dynasty. But despite the accuracy of the arrow hitting the target, the Yun felt that the arrow missed its target, because what he was aiming for was the head. With that also, the Hun began to synchronize his body movements with his riding horse, where he devoted his focus and aimed at the bandits more sharply. And immediately the Hun shot his second arrow, which hit the bandit squarely in the head, knocking the bandit to the ground. The headshot fired by the Hun certainly made the viewers surprised again, because the arrow shot was better than the previous shot. But of course, the Hun did not end it there, where he returned to aiming and shooting his arrows, where one by one the bandits who fled, they were finally killed, because the Yun finished it with a perfect one-hit kill. A few moments later, the pursuit of the bandits finally finished, and Roman, he praised the Yun because he thought that the Yun was an archer sent by the gods. Even from Roman's behavior, the other soldiers also praised him, because they felt lucky that Yun joined the mercenary group, and more than that, the friendliness of the mercenaries made the viewers surprised, because it was the first time they saw the soldiers praising the player, as if frustrating him, which made them wonder how come Yun played the trash game so well. But from those comments, Sang Hyun was suddenly surprised by something different, because in fact Acorn Jelly gave a super chat of 100,000 won. He even asked if all the perfect shoots were real. Seeing the super chat, Sang Hyun of course paid attention to every comment. Even from that made his viewers wonder, how could Acorn Jelly come on the stream? But because the Hun was silent, one of them asked why he didn't react at all. With that, they also asked the Hun to give a reaction. Seeing this, Sang Hyun was a little nervous, where he also asked his viewers, what should he do? And with that, his viewers gave suggestions to shoot row shots, like shooting reactions, where Yun finally thought of an idea, and of course he would do the show, With that, Sang Hyen immediately shot his arrow right into the sky, because at this time he would show a shooting reaction, and with that, Sang Hyen finally shot his arrow with all his might, where the arrow flew and disappeared in the sky. Seeing the actions of Yun, the viewers wondered what he was doing. They even asked him to explain before shooting it, because they felt that Sang Hyen only shot his arrow into thin air. But from that, Yun also expressed happily and said that it was a disappearing arrow show. Which at once, the Yun was suddenly hit by a shot right in the head and he immediately got a game over. The incident of course made the viewers laugh happily because they did not expect that the Yun would make himself die by suicide. While the Hun who was there, he could only be silent, because he did not expect that the arrow would bounce and return to him. With this incident, Sang Yun then got out of his game capsule, where he was still helplessly stunned because he got a game over message, and he wondered if maybe it was because the game capsule was an old generation. But considering the live stream that he was running, the Yun immediately checked via his cell phone, where he wondered what happened to his broadcast. Where it was also seen that the chat room broadcast was still active and the video stream had ended. With that, Sang Hyen also gave news to his viewers if he had just left the game. We're seeing this, his viewers then persuaded Sang Hyen to continue the live broadcast, because they felt that Sang Hyen was very entertaining. Seeing all the reactions from his audience, Sang Hyen was happy because in fact their reactions were better than his initial expectations, where someone also later commented that Sang Hyen had a great talent, and from that Sang Hyen felt if a surprise was a good thing for a streamer. He was even immediately grateful for being lucky to get the perfect moment, especially it was also a closure to end his stream, where he then said goodbye to end it, and his live video was then immediately filled with comments that laughed at him. Especially his viewers felt that Sang Yun was really funny and crazy, where he ended his broadcast suddenly. Even though Sang Yun's live broadcast was very short, they felt very entertained, especially with the extreme closure that made it so great. Meanwhile, Sang Hyen, who took a break after his live stream, he checked the comments of his viewers, where he began to be curious about a corn jelly, and began to find out about his channel. And when he got a corn jelly's channel, Sang Hyen was really surprised, because a corn jelly was a great streamer. Even from that, he also began to pay attention to every video uploaded by him, where he wondered about why such a talented streamer came to his live stream. But when the Hun was paying attention to a corn jelly's video, he was surprised by the notification that came into his live stream account, where there was someone directly greeting him, even to his surprise. If the person who greeted him was a corn jelly. Who is Akron Jelly? And what will happen to Sang Yun next?